Namaste friends, welcome back to the Sarthi Technology. If you are following the previous videos, you know this is the good time to dive into CRUD operation. So before we are going to create our first CRUD operation, we need to work on schemas. So basically schema is a validator between the user request and the database. So user will put some values in the request, and first we need to validate that values, and if the validation will success, we will put that value in the database. Okay. So for that we need to create schema, and that we are going to create in this schemas folder. Okay. So first right click on this and in new file, and we will just put the name same as our model. Okay, so here we will just put items.py. Okay, so we are just creating the schema for the items. That's why this is items.py. And the first thing we need to import base model here. So from Pydantic, import base model. Now the first class we are going to create, that will just reflect the structure of our table. Okay, so here class item base, and here we will inherit base model. Now what field we are going to put here? So the same that we have in this models. Okay, so here in this models.py we have id, that is primary key, and auto increment. So basically we need to put these three, and in these three just remember that this description is only the optional. Okay, so description is optional, and two mandatory fields, that is name and price. So just put these three here. So name, its type is str, and the second is description, its type is also str, and because this is a optional field, we will just put here none equal to none. Okay, and the third is price, and in our example the price is int. So here what we are doing, we are just creating these field in this item base, and what validation we have put it here. So the first validation is data type, and the second validation is mandatory or non-mandatory field. Okay, so in this item base we have three fields: name and price are mandatory, description is non-mandatory, and the data type is string, and int. Now for our one CRUD operation, that is put the data in the table, we are going to just create one another schema. So for that, class item create, and here we will just inherit this. So item base, and at the time of putting the value in the table, we don't need any extra validation, only this validation is okay, so we will just pass. Okay, that means the same validation we are putting here will be applied in this item create. Now for the update, we are creating one another class. So class item update, and here again we will just inherit item base. Now here user can update any value, either name, description, or price. So for example, you are just updating price, and in that case this name and description will be null, and if you are just updating description, the name and price will be null. That's why we have to put none in all three fields. So name, str, none equal to none. Okay. Same for the description and price. So description, okay. In this update validation, we can have any field none. Now, one very important thing that we are going to create, this is for the request, but after the validation, your API will respond, and in that response, we are going to do some changes. That's why we have to create one another class, and that we are going to create here class item, and here we will just inherit item base. Now, in the response, we will put one extra field, that is ID. That's why we are just putting here ID. Okay, so one extra field in the response we are adding, and that is ID. So in the request, user will put these three, and in the response, if you just get the values from the database, then these three and one ID will be written. Okay, now we have to create one inner class, that is config. So and in this config ORM underscore mode, we will just put true here. Okay, so what is this config and what is this ORM mode? True. So basically, this Pydantic model returns data in this format. Here you can see in this screen, and we need in dictionary format, so that we can just send the response in JSON, and that conversation will be done if we just put ORM mode true here. Okay, so that's why this ORM mode equal to true. So this was the schema that we need to create before performing the CRUD operation. In the next video, we will create one CRUD file here, crud.py in this database, and in that file we will just create function for the CRUD operation. So thanks for watching this video. In the next video, we will just continue for the database operation. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Till then, bye.